My name is Andrea, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Clarity Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. I would like to now turn the call over to your host, Ms. Karen Fodewin. You may begin your conference.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's call. It is our spring webcast. We appreciate the fact that so many folks have dialed in after our first delay for March, and due to unforeseen circumstances, we could not have that meeting at that time. So thank you for joining today. Our agenda is pretty full today and pretty exciting. At 11:05, we'll be joined by Dave Werner. Dave is with CA Technologies. Dave is going to give us a CA Clarity update. At 11:10, we're going to have Fernando Santiago. He is going to be discussing top-down portfolio management. Fernando has over 20 years of experience in project management. He's been a project director, PMO manager, and he is very comfortable with waterfall and agile approaches. He is a practitioner, coach, instructor, trainer, and a public speaker. He's managed projects in North America, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. His background is engineering. He's a Master of Organizational Development and has an MBA. He's also a certified PMP and Scrum Master. Fernando obviously brings a wealth of information and experience to this presentation, and we thank him for joining us. At 11:50 or so, we're going to have Zoe Meyer join us. Zoe is a CA Customer Reference Program representative. She's worked in channel management, demand generation, field marketing, and is now the customer reference team for the West Coast of North America. She has a background in international and domestic marketing for corporate channel, B2B, and consumer audiences for Fortune 100, 500, and medium-sized and startup companies. She pretty much covers the gamut. She also has an MBA in marketing and a bachelor's degree in finance. And we welcome Zoe and thank her for joining us. At 12:20 or so, we're going to have a quick update on user involvement and Treasury update, and then at 12:25 we'll have questions from the membership. As we move through the presentations, please either type in your questions for the presenter at the chat or raise your hand, and at the end of the presentation we'll take as many questions as we can. Should we not answer all questions, we'll certainly send them to our presenters and promise an email back with an update. Or actually, we'll have the answers posted out on our portal. There's one other comment I'd like to make, and that is the Board of Directors for the CA Clarity user community. As folks may have noticed, it's changed since the last election. We've had several resignations and several updates in terms of our leadership. Right now we're standing at myself as president. We have Michael Thibault as president and communications officer, and Jeff Bloom is involved, as well as April, who is our regional community manager and liaison. So I just want to let you know that there have been changes. The updates are out on the website. Should anyone have questions, just direct them to me or to Chris Hackett or anyone on the board, and we'll be happy to answer. But we wanted to have full disclosure that changes have occurred because of several resignations. With all that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Werner. Dave, thank you very much for your time today, and I hand it off to you.
Well, thank you, Karen. And, I want to say thank you to everyone on this call. Like usual, we have a lot of attendees on. I'm going to make my piece very short because we have a great agenda to get to you today. But just a couple of updates from CA that we wanted to make you aware of. The first is that you're going to be seeing a new interface to the community site next month. So on May 17th, we're implementing Jive. And if you're not familiar with that, it is a social networking work tool. And what we think is that it's going to offer you a lot more functionality. It's going to be very intuitive, a lot easier to use for what you do today on the community site. We actually considered going through some update of how to use it, and we thought, well, it's a little early for that. So we think we just want to let you know that's coming, be aware of it, and then once that is available May 17th, you'll see some more info from us. But again, we think it's going to be pretty intuitive and it'll be easy to use, but we'll provide more info on how to use that once that's available. So keep that in mind. Look for that on May 17th. The other update we wanted to make from CA is about an issue that came up. We got a lot of questions on in the past month or two, and it's the result of there were some emails that went out to a number of you. A number of you received from some different firms that are in the Clarity business or the PPM business. They do implementations, things like that. And there were questions around, hey, how did I get this email? And you know, there were questions as if, wondering as if CA were sharing our member list for the community with other firms to reach out to you. And so what we wanted to let you know is we looked into this, and first of all is we wanted to let you know that we do not share that kind of information. So CA does not share our community list with anyone. We don't share it, we don't sell it. And so we want you to know that those sorts of emails that you've received or you may receive, it's not anything that's coming from CA or endorsed by CA in any way. In fact, our view of it is that we really don't want to see that sort of advertising or marketing to this community. Our feeling at CA is that this is a very strong community. You've heard me talk about this before. The Clarity community is our strongest community among any CA products. We have over 6,000 of you that take part. You take part in these webcasts. You take part in the community site message board. And we feel this community is really most valuable to all of you and in turn to CA if it really is just about the content that is from Clarity users for Clarity users. And we want to keep it that way. But we wanted to let you know, we looked into this issue, we got your questions, we took it seriously. We want to let you know it is a reality that you're probably going to get some emails from time to time from different firms that are in the PPM business. That can happen through different ways. There are other communities, for instance, other Clarity communities not sponsored by CA that may share those lists, and there can be some overlap there, or perhaps you may have signed up for something along the way and turned into a distribution list. So that's a reality of what, the world we live in today, but we wanted to let you know that's not information we share, and it's not something that we endorse at CA. But if you do get emails from time to time, if you get something that's concerning or that you have questions about, please reach out to us. So, reach out to the board, reach out to Karen or Mike, reach out to Chris Hackett, or really anyone at CA, and we will be happy to take a look at that for you and check on things. So, Karen, that's really the CA update for this webcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to pass on the baton to Fernando. Fernando is our next presenter. I apologize, Zoe. I thought it was you, so please get your breath, and we'll let Fernando take over, and he'll pass on to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so we're we'll just want to check, do you have the presentation in front of you right now? It should be there?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, excellent. Okay, so we're going to talk about top-down portfolio management, which is an emerging approach to manage portfolios and integrate strategy execution with benefits realization management. So the agenda for this presentation is we're going to go through a brief introduction, and then we will discuss why do we need something different? Why do we need a different mousetrap, right? A better mousetrap. And then we will discuss what top-down portfolio management means going through a case study. So that's basically what we can do in this 45 minutes that I have for the presentation. And we should be finishing by the hour, by noon Eastern time. So 2 complex problems that this approach is trying to solve. There are 2 areas where organizations usually are challenged, and one of them is strategy execution. The other one, benefits realization management. And both areas are related, should be covered by portfolio management, and evidence is that they are not. They are not being covered as they should. So let's look at the first one, implementation of strategy. Kaplan and Norton, the authors of the Balanced Scorecard Framework, state that 9 out of 10 companies fail to implement strategy. So So this is pretty drastic. 9 out of 10 fail, right? So only 1 in 10 succeeds. And there are other frameworks that situate this into 1/3 succeeds or over 2/3 that fail, but it's somewhere around that. It's pretty high. Most organizations, most mature organizations go through a process of formulation and review of the strategy at least once a year. I would say almost every mature organization. Unfortunately, very few succeed in translating this strategy into action, and we will see when we go through a case study what that means. When it comes to benefits realization, almost every mature organization, and when I say mature, I'm talking to this audience, I would expect that, in most of your organizations, you have a mature project and portfolio management system. So the natural next frontier is to tackle the topic of benefits management. So we are not only executing the right projects, but we also want to make sure that we are realizing the benefits. So almost every mature company talks about this. However, very few actually do it. So there are attempts to do it. Some companies prepare business cases. There is some verification maybe, but most approaches, the problem that they have is that they imply an additional layer of work. And in most companies today are running pretty lean with very few extra resources sitting around to do additional work. So when additional work comes, to the desk, it just doesn't get done, and that's what probably kills, most attempts to do benefits realization management, because it is presented as an additional layer of work in addition to delivering the projects, right? So, is there a problem to solve now in terms of benefit realization management? And the numbers that we are presenting from IBM puts it at 40% of investment in IT is wasted. And again, this is pretty drastic, right? So 4 out of 10 dollars are wasted. Gartner is a little bit more conservative, but still puts it at 20% of investment generates no returns. And overall, we are talking roughly about $1 trillion a year on a worldwide basis, only in IT. So this doesn't consider, other projects that are, or components of projects that are non-IT. So we're talking $1 trillion a year wasted in IT projects that generate no return. So clearly there is a problem to solve. The mousetrap that we have used is not working in every case. So what is the current practice of portfolio management? The current practice of portfolio management is the concept of a funnel. So ideas are passed through a funnel that progressively defines gates to go through, so an idea can go through different gates until you end up with a prioritized list of projects with some form of a waterline or float line where you're going to define these are the projects that are going to be executed and these are the projects that will not be executed at least this year and maybe never. So this is the current practice of portfolio management, and makes sense and is sound for most situations, but not for every situation, as we will see. The problem with this approach is that in many cases, the response that we get from the executives is this kind of face, right? Yeah, that looks okay, but they are not convinced, because no matter how sophisticated the process that is used can be, it is not going to capture all the business logic and the understanding of the nature of the business that the executives have. So in many cases, they end up doing, adding their own touches, taking a project off the list, adding a project that wasn't prioritized. In very few cases, a portfolio manager, gets 100% hit rates with a prioritized list. There is always adjustment. And the reason for that is because it's not capturing the complete logic of the business. It's not executing strategy properly. Independently of all the measures of alignment that we can have as part of the prioritization model, it is not capturing completely, the essence of the strategy. So what is wrong with portfolio management to try to get into the top-down in the next slides? As we know, with portfolio management is not working in transformational scenarios. That's one of the problems that we have. When the situation is very stable, it's just incremental improvement projects, the traditional approach, the funnel bottom-up approach, works perfectly fine. What happens is when there's a transformational approach, that cuts short. It doesn't cut it completely as it should. The second problem is it's not helping organizations implement strategy, as we saw. And it clearly should. Portfolio management should be a tool for the executives to implement strategies through programs, portfolios, programs, and projects. And this is not working in every case, as we saw. And it has not succeeded in managing benefits, particularly in IT. So what is the alternative? The alternative that we are presenting is top-down portfolio management, which is a different logic, a different way of doing things. It is based on business logic. It's as opposed to the traditional bottom-up approach. And this is the way that executives view the portfolios anyway, based on the business logic. The approach works well in transformational scenarios. And we'll see, what a transformational scenario is in a few slides. And provides an easy solution for two very complex problems, which are strategy execution and benefit realization management. So let's just dive into what this is. So the next topic here in the agenda is top-down portfolio management. So what it means, and we're going to do it, and we're going to explain it through a case study. So the case study is called SAM Delivers. It's a delivery company, and I'm going to have to read through this because there's no other way of doing it. SAM has been delivering furniture and major appliances for smaller stores and manufacturers in Toronto for the past 20 years. So this is a Canadian case study, using a fleet of 6 cube vans. So it's a small company. So this is applicable to small enterprises as well as large enterprises that leave in the morning, pick up at one store, and deliver the rest of the day. So a traditional delivery model, they just go, pick up, deliver, and then return at the end of the day. Now, business has been impacted, and notice that this is in red, because that's what creates a transformational scenario. When business is going well, organizations don't have the urge to transform themselves. But when things start to get tough, then organizations need to do things differently. And that's when the traditional approach to portfolio management doesn't quite deliver. So what are the things that have impacted SAM's delivery business? The first one is the traffic in Toronto. And I know that we have a few Canadians in the call, and they can attest, that this is true. It has turned into, it's so bad, that it allows for 3 to 4 deliveries a day only, when the van can load up to 10 deliveries. So yes, you can load the van with 10 deliveries, but they can only, because of the traffic, they can only do 3 or 4. So routes are not completed in one day. So that's one of the problems here, that the traffic, it has turned into hell. The second problem is stores and manufacturers have also declined in volume. So this is due to the recession. So there is not enough to load a truck and keep the fleet busy. So those are the 2 problems that Stan is having. And because of this, he needs to transform his business. And that's what he's going to do. And what he does is he takes a week off and goes to the north of Toronto. We have a beautiful park called Algonquin Park. He goes there, there are woods there, and the beautiful Canadian Shield type of thing. And he spends a week there and comes back with some ideas to transform the business. We don't know what he did there, but it worked for him. So it was kind of like an off-site type of thing for strategy formulation. And this is a strategy. What you have on this slide is the strategy for transforming SAM Delivers. Change the concept of loading in the morning and deliver all day to dynamic routing or routing. Whether go for the French Canadian pronunciation or the American. So routing or routing trucks in the city picking up loads and delivering the loads the same day. So that's one thing that he is going to do that he hasn't done before. And this is one of the key concepts of the transformational scenario. We are going to start to do things that we haven't done before because we couldn't, and because they make sense now. So that's one of the things, dynamic routing. The second one is switch to smaller vans that can move better in traffic and carry up to 4 deliveries, as more is not viable anyway. So that's the second thing, smaller vans, and you can see the van there. And then the third element of the strategy is implement dynamic routing software, which delivers online and GPS located, so an order can be dispatched to a van, just like a taxi cab, and delivered the same day. So this is a key element that he wants to add to the strategy, because that's the fourth bullet point. This service will allow Sam to increase his clientele. And instead of just a few manufacturers and major stores that he serves, he can go to smaller stores that will now be able to offer same-day delivery. So basically, if you go to a small store and buy a piece of furniture, they could call Sam, and Sam would send a van and deliver the piece of furniture the same day, adding value to the store and service. So that's what he's thinking could help him increase the volume of business, which he needs desperately. So what is the situation that Sam is facing? So before we get there, we have seen the strategy in terms of what it means. Now the translation of the strategy, which is a key element of top-down portfolio management, and the first step is to identify what are the business outcomes that will drive or increase revenue, right? So what we want here, is overall results improved. That's what he wants as an ultimate goal. And you have, these three elements here. Revenue increase. He wants to increase revenue, definitely, And the two elements that are going to help increase revenue here are deliveries per day per truck increase is going to increase revenue, and also it's going to help in the variable cost reduced business outcome, financial outcome, sorry. So that's one of the business outcomes, and in a kind of a orange color, the business outcomes that we want to use to translate the strategy. So this is one of the things that he wants to impact in a measurable way. Deliveries per truck increase. The second one is orders per day increase. So that's another one that he wants to have impacted. And as we can see, orders per truck, orders per day increase is going to impact the variable cost and the fixed cost as well. So with these two business outcomes, and we have started to translate the strategy. So this is what the strategy means. We are going to be able to do this to impact this non-financial indicators in a way that they are going to implement the strategy. So if the strategy is implemented properly, and remember, this is a 9 out of 10 that Kaplan is discussing, right? If we succeed, these are the numbers, these are the metrics that are going to be impacted. Now the question is how? What and how are they going to be impacted? What is it that we're going to do to make sure that these numbers are impacted? And those are the business capabilities. So business capabilities are the things that the business needs to do that cannot do today. So in the case of Sam, route orders dynamically is the first one, and that's going to have an impact on deliveries per day per truck increase. So if we can route orders dynamically, that's going to increase the number of orders that we can deliver. And the second one is same-day delivery. So same-day delivery is the other thing that we cannot do today. So it's a business capability that is going to have an impact on orders per day increase, because we're going to be able to go to the smaller stores and get business from other people in many different stores. So this is the what and the how of the strategy, right? So this is the what we are going to impact, and this is the how. But in order for these business capabilities to be achievable, we need to have certain technical capabilities, and that's what the next element is. The technical capabilities in the case of SAM are smaller vans, and smaller vans are going to allow you to deliveries per truck increase. Dynamic routing solution is the second one that is going to have an impact on the two business capabilities, right? And then the third one is GPS mobile terminals on the vans. That is going to allow the same-day delivery. So now we have a clearer picture of what is the technology that is going to enable this new strategy to be executed properly and succeed. The last step here, and now that we have identified this, to identify the projects or initiatives that need to be part of a portfolio is pretty straightforward. In the case of SAM, the projects are replace the fleet, online define dynamic routing territories, and notice that this is not a technical project or initiative. This goes directly into a business capability. So you can have technical initiatives or IT-related, technology-related initiatives, or you can have business initiatives in the same portfolio. And this is key because otherwise the concept of the business, what needs to be done to change the business, is not going to work. So you need to integrate the two types of projects, technology and business projects. Then we have implement dynamic routing, and finally implement GPS mobile terminals. And this is a portfolio. Voila, we have a portfolio. So what we have done, instead of going through the exhausting process of going through the funneling of hundreds of ideas that are going to be ranked and prioritized, and which makes sense for a stable operational scenario, we have defined the strategy, translated the strategy, and then identified what are the projects that are needed to deliver the capabilities, both business and technical. So there is one more element in this diagram that is a results chain, by the way, it's called results chain, is the assumptions. So what are the assumptions that hold the plan together? And in the case of SAM, there is only one assumption, that same-day delivery will generate increased sales. So that is uncertain. That's something that he is assuming that it's going to be there, but it's and determines, the validity of this business outcome. So if this is true, then the orders per day should go up as a result of same-day delivery. So now that we have seen that we have created a results chain for the translation of the strategy, what we need to do is adjust the contributions of these things because they are not all equal. So in the case of SAM, we are going to make some adjustment. Dynamic routing is the main contributor to increase deliveries per day. And we're going to increase the thickness of that arrow here. So dynamic routing is, in this case, 60% instead of 1/3. We have 3 contributors. We're going to say this is the main contributor to this. And we are following here a similar approach to the one that is used in Agile of relative sizing, right? Without getting into any detail here. The second one is increased deliveries per day, the main contributor to variable cost reduce. So that adjustment is made here. And finally, the revenue increase is already set by the model as the main contributor, right? So as you can see, revenue increase is 60% of the contribution here. Now, all the other are assumed equal. So if you have, for example, 2 here coming to this contributor, we're going to assume that there are 50%. So you can make, in this type of methodology, you can make adjustments to reflect the actual contributions to the overall results. And this is what you're going to do to be able to do what is called the propagation of benefits and investments. And we'll see what that is in a few moments. Now, when we talk about a top-down business case, which is another element of top-down portfolio management. So the idea is it is based on a financial forecast. So forecast financials as a result of strategy. So you see here that we have 2 stacks. One is the status quo, the plan, and the other one is a baseline, right? So basically what this is if we do not transform the business, we are going to get the blue results. If we transform the business, we're going to get up to the red results, which are obviously better results. So where is the benefit going to come from? The difference between the benefits of the overall business case is the overall business case. So what this does is, instead of trying to create a business case for each one of the projects, it's going to take the overall transformation of the business and say, what are going to be the profits in the current scenario, the status quo? And if we transform the business, what are the profits going to be? And the difference between the two are the inflows that we're going to use as benefits for the overall business case, a top-down business case. And we will see how that works. In the case of Sam, without getting into any detail here, the current scenario is that he is going to lose $1 million over 5 years if he continues the way he goes. If his forecast, and this is just a financial forecast as any company may have, he creates a financial forecast of revenue, cost, variable cost, and fixed cost, that he could turn that into a $1.7 million over 5 years. So the difference between the two, is $2.8 million. And in terms of where the business is going to be if we transform it versus if we leave it as it is. So that's what we're going to use as inflows for the business case. Now, we need to consider uncertainty too, because there are assumptions in the way, like he's assuming that he's going to get more sales. There is uncertainty in this approach. So what Sam is doing here is he's using a conservative approach of assigning 50% of the benefits instead of 100%. So it's an adjustment. Instead of 2.8, we're going to use $1.4 million over 5 years. And this is what we are going to use as inflows for the rest of the exercise. Right, so $1.4 million. In the case of investments, these are the investments that Sam is going to make. In total, they add to close to $1 million, so $986,000 over 5 years for the 4 projects or initiatives that he's going to conduct. So what do we do with these numbers now? The way the results chain works, and before getting to that step, which is the following one, we're going to look at what we can do in terms of defining governance using this approach. So project managers are accountable for delivering capabilities. And that's one of the reasons, why many projects sometimes are considered a failure, because it's not clear what the projects are going to deliver. So in this case, it's very clear. The project just delivers a capability. Programs, on the other hand, deliver business outcomes. So a program is not just a large project, it's the delivery of a business outcome. So a clear indicator, non-financial business indicator needs to be affected, impacted the way it should. And the strategy is something that belongs to the executive. So the formulation and translation of the strategy, the accountability lies on the executive, and the frontier, if you will, between the two is the business outcomes. That's where we see the two approaches or the two segments getting together. The strategy is going to be translated into business outcomes, and then the business outcomes are going to be translated into the what and the how. So the rest of the organization then needs to deliver to these business outcomes. So basically the concept here is if the organization succeeds in delivering these business outcomes, that means that the strategy was executed properly. Now, whether these business outcomes succeed in delivering the financial results depends on the strategy. So that's formulation. So the accountability, it's clearly defined in terms of who is accountable for what. The executives are accountable for formulation. The rest of the organization are accountable for execution. Okay? So one more element here. So why this approach is easier. So try to understand, why this approach is going to be easier in terms of how it works. And one of the reasons why is because this approach leverages existing processes and metrics in the organization. So almost every organization, we'll say every organization has financial forecasts and models that project where the sales are going to be, where revenues or costs, that is there. And that's what this approach can tap into to create, the top-down business case. Existing business metrics and targets. So that's another thing that exists in most organizations. If there is a balanced scorecard there, the balanced scorecard is going to be a stepping stone in the implementation of top-down portfolio management. Top-down portfolio management, and this is a very brief presentation, obviously, because of the limitations of the time, but it builds on top of balanced scorecard. But what it does, it adds the business logic of the interactions that are needed to implement strategy. So for those of you who are familiar with balanced scorecard, it is very much linear. So you start identifying like lanes or streams of strategies that are going to be executed, but the interaction of those strategies is not there. So then that's one of the key elements of the definition of strategy, right? The interactions. So from the on a different topic, why is this simple or easier to do? Is that benefits management is also simplified. So instead of creating a very comprehensive and difficult approach to tackle benefits, what we are going to do is basically use the business outcomes to measure benefits. So the business outcomes are going to indicate whether the execution of the strategy is performing or not. And the metrics are defined at the business outcome level. And then you have the different contributions that, remember that we adjusted that in the results chain. And the contributions are going to tell us what is the impact of each one of those initiatives on the business outcomes. And that's how we are going to measure benefits. The business outcomes, which are, in most cases, measured anyway, because they are industry metrics or there are company metrics that are there, like in the case of SAM, number of deliveries per day, number of orders per day. Those are metrics that are probably not new to SAM's business. And to the industry, they are the basic metrics that for delivery of goods. So it's nothing new. You are going to use what exists to do benefits management, as opposed to defining business cases for each one of the projects and then trying to figure out how you are going to verify that the benefits were actually delivered. So no additional work is required to do benefits management. And strategy execution is managed at the same time. So basically, with a very simple approach, you undo benefits management and strategy execution with very little additional work. So before getting into the questions, just one more word for which I don't have slides is what does this mean for Clarity users? So can Clarity run this type of thing? I've been a user of Clarity for a few years, and I think I understand what Clarity can do in terms of portfolio management. This is something that should be done outside of Clarity, using some kind of a model, some kind of a tool that you could use. It could be just as simple as Excel or Visio. And then based on that, you identify what projects need to go into the portfolio. So it's something that you need to do either manually or with some other tool outside of Clarity, to be able to identify your portfolio. But for a transformational scenario, and you would have to run this in parallel with your traditional way of portfolio management, because if your organization is following a transformational situation, then most of your projects may fall under this category. But chances are that's not the case. So the most likely scenario is you have a number of operational projects that have to be prioritized in a traditional way. And for that, the tools that you have in Clarity are perfectly fine. It's just when there is a transformational element, how can we connect the projects from the to the strategy, or even better, how can we derive the projects from the strategy? So that's what I have. For now. So if there are any questions at this point, you can either put them on the chat line or, I don't know, turn to the moderator here.
Exactly.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to ask an audio question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. And there are no audio questions at this time.
Okay.
And I do not see any questions on the chat line at this point. So, Fernando, thank you very much. Fabulous presentation, really thought-provoking for me as I start a new job, and a lot of these questions are coming up. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay. So do you need me to pass you the presenter, right?
You're going to pass it to Zoe, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Zoe, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll turn it over to you for the CA Reference Program overview.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Fernando. My name is Zoe Meyer. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I'm here to introduce our CA Customer Reference Program to you and answer any questions you may have about it. So our program, we wanted to take a more customized approach, a more relationship-focused approach with our customers as we talk to them or understand from them how they're using our solutions. They're happy with our solutions. They want to talk about, as in the example Fernando had, a case study, Sam Delivers company, sharing their success on how they're using a solution, what results are they getting from it, things like that. So we wanted to build our program around developing a relationship with our customers who are happy with the solutions and wanting to network with and share their success with other solution users, other companies, other customers who are considering using it, and or just in general with the public. So what we do is we will customize our program to you, your company, your needs, and your desired activities, in what activities you would like to participate. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a you tell us what you would like to participate in, and we would work with you to develop that program. So what's in it for you as the customer? Again, we're focusing on the relationship. So we want to focus on what it is you would like to leverage of our program offering to tell your story and your success. We have different categories I've put here on this slide. The first one being thought leadership. It can be from participating in our beta cycles, participating in any type of technology exchange, whether it's with our product management team, engineers, et cetera. It's talking with our analysts. And in speaking with our analysts, that's an anonymous conversation that you would have, or if it were a review where they have a survey. Any of that type of interaction with the analyst community is on an anonymous basis. The beta cycles, any type of beta program you participate in, that can also be certainly anonymous. It's for you to interact with our solution and talk about our solution, and in many cases provide feedback so that we can develop it and improve that solution. The peer networking. One of the biggest benefits of any customer reference program is the ability to network with your peers, whether it's direct in a one-to-one fashion or whether it's something like this, presenting on a call with many customers who are either currently using that same solution or thinking about using that solution. So those we can set up. Those are the reference calls, one-to-one and one-to-many. We also have something we like to call a success lounge. That's similar to a one-to-many reference call in which it's an in-person opportunity to network with your peers. So we, again, the relationship of our program, the relationship with our customer is the foundation of our program, and we want to make sure that customers are getting that type of interaction with other customers. This could also be done through conferences. We have our CA World End User Conference that we have coming up this November in Las Vegas again, or any other type of marketing activities or conferences, regional conferences in which CA would be sponsoring. We try to provide an opportunity for customers to network with each other. For customers who are looking to speak in a more public fashion, we have things such as any type of press, whether it's a press release, a case study, again, going back to the Sam Delivers company case study, something like that, that talks about how you're using the solution. What are the results that you are receiving from that solution? What was the business challenge that drove you to investigate finding a solution to meet those challenges? So we have those opportunities, again, speaking engagements. Whether it's on a webcast, we can do that with product marketing, whether it's at a trade show, whether it's at CA World, et cetera. We have those type of opportunities in which you and your company may participate. We have a Smart Enterprise magazine and our Cloud Luminaries. Those audiences are more at a director and above level, but they talk not about a solution specific, but about a business solution, a business challenge they had, and how they're leveraging, whether it's a solution or whether it's just a strategy. Because again, those two venues, we stay away from just the solution speak, and we talk about what's the strategy, what's that thought leadership there that these customers have come up with, whether it's an agile consideration if we're speaking about clarity or what have you. But those are more of a non-solution, point solution type of PR. Our success stories, I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to go out to ca.com//success stories, but we post our customers' success stories there on our site. And it allows other prospects and customers to go to that external site and read about how are other customers using. It could be that same solution, or again, could be a solution that you're looking to use in the future. But just another opportunity to get your story out in a more public fashion. And again, just like the program is customized to meet your needs as an individual within the organization and for your organization, we can customize any type of press that is necessary. Overall appreciation. For customers who are active in our program, we do different things that's appropriate for them. We understand that companies have gift policies or policies in general in interacting with any vendor programs. So, just a few things that we do in appreciation. We have CA-branded promotional items. We can set up conversations, workshops with our product marketing, product management teams. In some cases, we give out CA World passes, things like that. We want to make sure that the customer feels like this isn't a favor to sales or to the company, but rather this is a relationship, again, something that they're getting value out of by either networking with their peers, participating in a thought leadership activity, and or promoting their success in a public fashion. So here's something we like to call our reference activity menu. Again, it's an a la carte approach. We want to customize this to your needs and your interests. So anything on the left-hand side of the screen here, reference and networking, product and market influence, all of this is on an anonymous basis. The company name is not used, your individual name is not used, but these are ways that you can network with others, network with the analyst community, leverage this, our beta program, and get hands-on with any new potential releases that we have of a solution and things like that. All of these are more anonymous. Again, we don't use the name, logo, your contact information, nothing like that. Anything to the right-hand side, promotional and press-related, that is more external, and therein we would like to understand your company's policy on any type of reference participation so that we are in lockstep with your company on how to use your name or your logo or a quote or a success story or anything else in which you would like to participate in a more public forum. And here's our last slide. So what this is about, again, customizing the program means we're trying to make it more personal and not more formal. However, we do understand that some companies would like to have their agreement and participation outlined in a document form, so we provide both. So our first thing is we definitely would like to understand any corporate policy that you have in working with other vendors in their reference programs, especially if your interest is in promotional or press-related activities. We would definitely want to understand the policy so we can best work with you, work with your company, and all be on the same page. Likewise, we also like to understand gift policies and what your public relations and or approval process is within your organization. Now, in doing that, somebody like myself, we have 3 people in North America who are members of our reference program team. We have 1 in EMEA, 1 in APJ, and 1 in Latin America. We take the same approach. We can work directly with your marketing people or your legal folks, whatever's most appropriate and you would prefer, or directly work through you to gain the appropriate approval and understanding of your policies. And again, we can provide it in a less formal or a more formal fashion, whatever is of interest and necessary for your organization. It can be in an email, so we would go through, I would have a conversation with you or my colleagues, your interest in the program, understanding your policy regarding the program, understanding the exact activities you may be interested in, how you're using a particular solution, even a cadence if you were interested in doing, whether it's a reference call or anything else, what type of cadence is of interest to you. So we can note that so that we are being very appropriate in our interaction with you. Also, we have the opportunity to provide any of that agreement as to your participation, your interests, and your company policy. We can even put that in a more formal, what we call a reference activity agreement. And this agreement, again, we start off with a standard, here are your activities you can participate in, check what you're interested in, and if there's any necessary legal language we need to put in, like this is valid for 1 year or until which time we're no longer satisfied with the program, et cetera, we can make that so it fits your company and their needs so that everyone's on the same page again. But again, we can take a more formal or a less formal approach, what's going to work best for you and your organization. And now I can open it up for questions.
If anyone should have questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand, put a note in, or reach out to our operator.
And again, that is to press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad.
I will say, this is Karen, I will say while I'm waiting that my experience with the customer reference program in a previous life with an insurance company on the East Coast was absolutely fantastic. The team understood the parameters in which we had to work in order to help support the customer reference program, but also because of the legalities that we had on the business side. So my experience has been very, very good. And if anyone should have questions about that, you can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to be a reference, because the work that the customer reference team does is great, and the ability to pay it forward and spread the word about the Clarity application based on user experience was tremendous for us.
Thank you, Karen. And I will say the Clarity users are one of our strongest in our program. I think there's just a camaraderie, whether it's in how you use the solution and just in coming together and talking about using the solution. And you did do a success story with us, Karen.
I did.
With your last company. So, we very much thank you for that.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. I will tell you that part of the Clarity camaraderie is because we are all crazy people, being project and portfolio managers and the technical people, and the passion folks have for their work really does show through with this particular application.
So if anybody has interest in speaking further about this program, please feel free, like Karen had offered, to reach out to Karen, or you can reach out to Dave Werner, Chris Hackett, or directly to myself regarding the program, and we can answer any questions you or your organization may have, or your interest in the program overall.
Great.
Thank you.
Operator, were there any questions? I'm going to say that that's a no. We're going to move on then, and Zoe, if you could pass the presenter to me, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, there you go.
And thank you very much, Zoe.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure meeting you finally. Okay, what we're going to talk about next, it should only take a minute or two, and it looks like we may finish early today unless folks want to jump in with any questions outside the realm of our two speakers' topics. The update from a Treasury perspective is we're quite solid in our budget right now. I do not have the exact numbers. However, we've had no spend in the past, oh goodness, since CA World, other than the routine expenses and taxes at the end of the year, which I hope everyone has mailed their taxes today in the U.S. And those outside the U.S., I'm sure that you're equally burdened wherever you are. But we are in good shape, and the funds that are currently within the coffers for the CA Clarity GUC will be used at next CA World in order to provide something for our very strongly involved membership. With that being said, I guess the one point I wanted to touch on again was there have been some changes in the board, and it has occurred over the last 12 months since the last election. So as you can see, that several of the folks that were elected chose to step down either because of family obligations or work obligations, and we certainly respect that. We chose not to have another election, and we'll wait for the next one. So the existing board members absorbed the roles, and we are supporting everything as we had in the past. So please, should you have questions about that, just let us know. If you have any questions today about the CA community or any other questions, please reach out to the operator. I think it's *1, and or raise your hand in the chat room. You'll also notice that a poll has been put up in the polling on the right navigation column of the webcast. The question is very simple. Take a moment to rate the value of today's webcast topics. A, very good. B, good. C, fair. Or D, poor. If you would take just a second to go ahead and submit your vote, that would be very helpful for us. And lastly, it's the perennial or the quarterly call out to our user community. We are looking for presentations As you can see, we had a very strong user presentation today, and we had a great CA presentation, but we're looking for more from our membership. So should you want to be more involved, it doesn't take long. It's a quick email to any one of the board members, or any contact you have at CA will get it to us if you don't want to send it to us. But we would love to have user presentations. It's important to pay it forward, so to speak, and get that information out to the entire community to help improve. That's it for me. Chris, do you have any comments you'd like to share?
No, great job today, folks.
Okay.
And we'll see you at the next webcast.
Great. And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.